Hello, my name is Anniken and I live in the southwest of England, and today I'm going to show you, talk to you a little bit about this new design. So welcome to today's video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please ask below, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing. So this design is going to be in the new issue of Knitting Magazine. I'll put the issue number and all the details below. The yarn is by The Wool Kitchen, which is thewoolkitchen.com. It's a British yarn company, and it is a 50% merino, 50% silk 4-ply blend. So it's got 400 meters per 100 gram, and the yarn is absolutely gorgeous. I knitted this sample myself and I really enjoyed knitting with it because it's absolutely beautiful. So in this video I'm going to show you how to do the stitch pattern, and I'm also going to show you how to do the just very briefly how to do the wrap and turn short rows for the sleeve cap. So the sleeves will work from the top down with short rows to create the sleeve cap. Normally I would use German short rows for that, but because this is knitted in garter stitch, I use wrap and turn short rows, but you don't have to pick up the wraps, so it's really easy. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well a bit later on in this video, and I'm going to show you how to do the stitch pattern. But first I'll just very quickly do an introduction on this design. This is filmed in a little bit of a hurry because I have to post this in the next half an hour, and it's been a bit of a rush to finish it on time, so just want to quickly film this 5 minutes before I post it. So the body is knitted front and back separately from the bottom up, and it's got this lovely stitch pattern, drop stitch pattern below the shoulders, and then garter stitch. Whole thing is worked in garter stitch. And then you join the shoulders by working a 3 needle cast off. You seam the side seams, and then you pick up stitches around the armhole, and then you work the short row sleeve cap across the shoulders, and then I work the rest of the sleeve in the round, so I wouldn't have to seam the sleeves. But if you don't want to purl, you can work it back and forth if you prefer. If you're going to do garter stitch in the round, then you have to knit one round and purl one round, which is what I did on the sleeves. The top bit here was worked back and forth till there, and then the rest was worked in the round, because I just thought that would be quicker. But if you prefer not to purl, you can do the sleeves back and forth and then seam it later. It's entirely up to you. The pattern will be written for it to be worked in the round though. And then I just picked up stitches around the neckline and worked a few rows of garter stitch, and that's it. So fairly simple, no complicated shaping or anything, but really nice. It's got sort of 3/4 length sleeves, which you can easily make longer if you want to. As you're knitting the sleeves from the top down, if you're knitting it for yourself, you can try it on as you go and knit the sleeves to the length you want to. This sample, which is a UK size 10, but it is a loose fitting size 10, so it's quite a big size 10, took almost exactly 300 grams. I've got a teeny tiny bit of yarn left, and obviously I had enough yarn for the swatch as well, because I did knit the swatch as well. So just looking to see if I had the swatch on the wall. Not sure why, but so yeah, this took exactly 300 grams, but it is quite long as well, so you can easily make it shorter if you want to. So I hope you enjoyed looking at this video, and now I'm going to show you how I did the short rows, wrap and turn short rows for the sleeve cap, and then I'm going to show you how I did the stitch pattern for the rest of the for the body, this drop stitch pattern. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This sweater has short rows sleeve caps worked from the top down. I do have a tutorial for short row, top down short row sleeve cap sleeves, which I'll link below. So I have a tutorial that shows you exactly how to do it using German short rows. On this sweater I actually decided to do wrap and turn short rows, which I don't use very often anymore. I tend to use German short rows, but because this is worked in garter stitch, I thought I would see how I got on with wrap and turn short rows where I don't pick up the wraps. So I'm nearly finished actually. I've got all the way down to here. So you basically work back and forth, so you only have your underarm stitches left, and I have 6 more rows to work. Yes, 6 more rows to work. So I was doing this yesterday evening and I couldn't really film in the evening because of the light, so I will show you what I do. So I'm just going to knit till I get to the end of this row, and then I'll show you what it looks like and what I'm doing. So I've nearly got to the wrap on the previous row. So there we go. So that is where I wrapped and turned last time. So it's not very easy to see with this yarn, but that's my wrap around the stitch. And normally you would pick up the wrap and go into the stitch and knit them together. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave that wrap there, and then I'm going to knit one, and then I'm going to wrap and turn the next stitch. And because I'm knitting every row, when I turn it, I want the yarn to be on this side, so when I turn it, it's at the back. So I'm going to leave the yarn where it is, slip the next stitch purlwise, take the yarn between the needles through the front, and then slip that stitch back again. Now make sure when you slip it that you're doing it purlwise, so you're not twisting it. Then I'm going to turn, so that means that once I've turned, the yarn is on at the back where I want it to be able to knit. And I tend to pull it a bit tight. Oops, and I just dropped the stitch there. Let me make sure that I managed to pick that one up okay, because that was a wrapped stitch, so I don't want to accidentally muck that one up. Oh, then I dropped another one, so I'm not doing very well here. I dropped the first two stitches I was going to knit. It's because I can't really see what I'm doing when I'm filming. So there we go. Oh, crying out loud. There we go. Let's try not to drop any more. Right, let me pull out a bit of yarn, because I think that's the problem. So I'm going to quickly knit around to the other side, and then I'll show you that one more time. Okay, so I've got to where the where I turned on the last row, so that's my wrap and turn stitch, which I'd normally pick up and knit with the stitches wrapped around, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to knit it, and then I'm going to wrap and turn again. So I'm going to do it exactly the same as I did it on the previous row. Normally you would do it slightly differently, whether you're on a right side row or a wrong side row, but because we're knitting on every row, you can do it the same on every row. So I'm going to slip that stitch purlwise, take the yarn to the front, slip the stitch back, and then turn. When you turn, click my row counter as well. When you turn, the yarn is at the back, and you can see the yarn is wrapped around that stitch. And then I'm just going to start knitting. So let me see how close I am. 2, 4. Okay, so I'm nearly there. So you're just going to go back and forth like that until you have the stitches you picked up for the underarm. So I always put a marker in the center of the underarm, which lines up with my side seam here. I always like to put a marker there just to make sure, because that's going to be the beginning of my round when I finish doing the short rows. So once I picked up 4 stitches at the underarm, so I cast off 4 stitches at the underarm, then I picked up 4 stitches. So once I've done 2 more rows on this side and 2 on that side, so 4 more rows, when I do come to the last wrap, which will be on that stitch, I then just knit across the underarm stitches and then carry on knitting in the round. So I do have a full tutorial on how I do short row top down sleeve caps, and I will link that tutorial below. It's done in a different design. I think it was a rib design, but it's still the same. But in that short row, I actually used German short rows, because that's what I usually prefer to use. But on this one, I thought I would try wrap and turn short rows, because I wouldn't have to pick up the wraps. And the reason I don't have to pick up the wraps, and you can't really see them, is because of the fact that I'm working in garter stitch. So let me just show you the other sleeve quickly. So the other sleeve is finished. So you can, that's probably where I did my first turn, I would guess. So going down the side here, you can't see the fact that I haven't picked up the wraps. Same thing going down the side here, you can't really see it. Well, I guess you probably can. I'm assuming maybe it's those here, but it kind of blends in with the pattern, and it looks right with the pattern. So that's the top, that's the straight bit at the top where I knitted from the shoulder. There's the shoulder there, I knitted to there, and then I turned, and then I knitted the same amount the other side of the shoulder, and then I worked one more stitch for each row. So I gradually fill in the sleeve cap till I get to the underarm. Okay, so I will link my other top down sleeve cap, short row sleeve cap tutorial below for a more in-depth version. I am going to, next time I do a stocking stitch short row top down sleeve cap, I'm going to try and do it with the wrap and turn, because I've been told you can do it with stocking stitch as well, but I've never tried it, so I'll try that next time. But yeah, works really well when you're working garter stitch. Now I'm going to show you how to do this stitch pattern. I have to apologize for the state of my nails. If you are the kind of person who finds people not having perfect nails on YouTube very upsetting, then you may not want to watch the rest of this video. I really need to do my nails, but I've been working flat out for the last couple of days to get this design finished because I need to post it in the next couple of hours. And it's still slightly damp, but I wanted to really record this tutorial while I still had the sample here, so I could show you what the stitch pattern looks like in the yarn I knitted the sample in. So this sweater is going to be a knitting magazine, so by the time this video is out, you will have the magazine will be out, and it has this open dropped stitch pattern, which is very attractive, and I will show you how to do it. Yarn as well is beautiful, it's merino silk and it's absolutely gorgeous. I don't actually have the chart in front of me, but I think I remember it, so I'm going to see if I can remember how to do it. So I'm going to start by knitting 6. Hang on, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm hoping you can't see my nails that are worst chipped. 2, 4, 6. Okay, so I'm going to knit 6, and I'm going to knit 2 together, and then I'm going to do, hang on, if I can knit 2 together, let's try that again. Knit 2 together. I'm going to do double yarn overs. I knit continental style, but I'll show you English style as well. But continental style, I take the yarn over the needle, and then I wrap it around again, so I get 2 loops over my needle. I'll show you English style on the next one. So that was continental style. Then I'm going to do an SSK, so slip the next stitch knitwise, slip the next stitch knitwise, put my left needle into the front of those 2 stitches. I do have another video on SSK and some variations of SSK, so I will link that one below. And then I'm going to knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to knit 2 together. This time I will do the yarn overs English style. So I'm going to go yarn over, and then I'm going to go between needles and yarn over again. So I'll get the yarn bound around my needles twice. Okay, I think I lost one there, so let's try that again. Then I'm going to slip on knitwise, put my left needle into the front of those 2 stitches, and then knit them together with the yarn coming from the front. So I've got 2 loops around my needle there, and then I'm going to knit to the end of the row. And then on the next row, hang on, I'm going to knit till I get to the first one of that double yarn over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the next 2 stitches on my needle are those yarn overs. Now if you try and knit both yarn overs as normal, it won't work. You have to knit one as normal and one through the back of the loop. So I normally knit the first one as normal and the second one through the back loop. You can do the first one through the back loop and the second one as normal, doesn't really matter, but one has to be done as normal and one through the back loop, or you can do them both through the back loop, but you don't really need to for this stitch pattern. Then I'm going to knit till I get to the next yarn over, which is here. So then I'm going to knit one as normal and one through the back loop. If you accidentally pull them both off when you knit the first one, or if you found that you've only got one yarn over, then knit that one, either leave it on the needle, or if you accidentally drop it off, just put it back on the needle again, and then you can knit the second one through the back loop. And then I'm going to knit it to the end of the row. And then I'm going to knit the next row. So in this row I'm going to knit 5. And then I'm going to knit 2 together. Now the yarn knit 2 together from the previous row was there, which resulted in that stitch. So I'm knitting the stitch that resulted from the knit 2 together on row 1 together with the stitch in front of it. You don't need to understand that, but it helps you if you can look at your knitting and see what's happening. And because it is in garter stitch, it's a little bit more difficult to see what's happening. Then I'm going to knit these 2. These were the double yarn overs that I did. Knit those 2, and then I'm going to make 1. And the make 1 makes up for the decrease I just did. So I'm going to lift that strand up from between the 2 stitches. Now you've got to be a bit careful that you don't pick up the strand from the yarn over. You've got to make sure that the strand you pick up goes in through that stitch and over your left needle. Put that on your left needle and then knit that through the back loop. And then you've got to knit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Knit 8. And then you're going to knit 2 together. So the second of those 2 stitches is the knit stitch that is left over from the knit 2 together on row 1. So I'm going to knit those 2 together, knit 2, and then I'm going to make 1, and just make sure that you don't pick up the yarn, the strand from the yarn over, but that you pick up the one that goes through the stitch below the needle and across your needle to become the next stitch that you're going to knit. Pick that up and knit it through the back loop. And then we're going to knit to the end of the row. And then we're going to just knit this row. So I'll just knit this row quickly and I'll meet you on the next row. I'm going to knit, I think it's 6 stitches this time. 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. That's the knit 2 together on row 3, which is that stitch and the stitch in front. Knit those 2 together, knit 2, then I'm going to make 1. Here it's easier to pick up the right stitch. Knit 1, make 1. So I picked up that stitch, put it on the left hand needle, make sure it goes from front across the back, and then knit it through the back loop. Then I'm going to knit 8, and then I'm going to knit 2 together, knit 2, make 1, pick up that strand. Whether you pick it up with your left needle or whether you just take your whether you pick it up with your right needle or whether you just take your left needle and dip it under and pick it up with that, doesn't really matter. I like to pick it up from the back with my right needle, and then I just lift it onto my left needle so it goes from front across to the back, and then I knit it through the back loop. If you're unsure about make 1, Google or search make 1 on YouTube, and there'll be lots of videos. Now you're going to do this until you get to row 12. So I'm going to pretend that I've done 11 rows and that this is row 12. So my stitch count won't work out, so I'm not going to count. So you're going to, I've just got to be careful, make sure I have knitted to the right place. Right, so imagine this is row 12. When you get to the 2 yarn overs, so that was the make 1 from the previous row, so I make sure I knit to that one. Obviously you can just count the stitches on the chart and in the written instructions, but it helps to make sure that you know what you're looking for. So I can see here that that's the yarn over from the previous row. So I'm going to knit that yarn over. The next 2 stitches are the stitches that come from that double yarn over further down. So I'm going to let one off the needle and unravel it, and then I'm going to put that strand back on my needle and knit it through the back loop. Then I'm going to drop the next stitch off my needle, let that unravel down, and this will unravel down to that yarn over and it won't unravel any further. Then I'm going to put that resulting strand, that top strand, make sure you don't pick up one from further down, make sure it's the top one, and I'm going to pick that one up and knit it through the back loop. So the 2 stitches that I got from the yarn over, I've dropped those down and let them unravel. You may just need to pull them a bit to make sure they unravel all the way down. And then and you knit it through the back loop. So I've knitted those 2 stitches through the back loop. Then I'm going to knit, I think it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that stitch, if I just want to double check, make sure I counted correctly. Thing is, if you drop the wrong stitch off, you're going to ruin the stitch pattern. So you have to make sure that the stitches you drop off are the ones that end up down in the yarn over. And it's fairly easy to see here because I've only done four, is this row 4? Yeah, this is row 4. You're going to be doing this on row 12, so then it's a little bit more difficult. So I've just got to make sure, I've just checked that the last one I knitted was the make one from the previous row. I take that next stitch off, I just pull it, then I pick up the top strand, put it back on my left hand needle, just like you did when you did a make one, and then I knit that through the back loop. Then I take the next stitch off, pull it, put that strand back on and knit it through the back loop. And you can see that one hasn't unraveled completely, so then I can just pull it. If it doesn't unravel completely, just give it a bit of a pull. Which you can do when you finish the row, you can do it when you finish the whole garment, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is a mini version of it, and then when you block it, it'll help it to open up completely. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please ask below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I post regular videos. I try and post every Friday, a mixture of podcast episodes where I talk about what I'm knitting and what's happening in my life, and also tutorials and reviews of yarn and different knitting products. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.